David Chen wiped the sweat from his forehead as he rushed through his apartment in downtown Seattle. The morning sun streamed through unwashed windows, highlighting the chaos that had become his daily reality. Empty coffee cups littered the kitchen counter, and unopened mail formed small mountains on every surface. "Emma," he called out, his voice hoarse from another restless night. "We need to leave in 10 minutes. His 7-year-old daughter appeared in the doorway, her shoulders slumped. She wore the same outfit from yesterday because David had once again forgotten to run the washing machine. As a software engineer at a demanding tech startup, he worked late into most nights, trying to meet impossible deadlines while his home life crumbled around him. The guilt hit him like a physical weight. 6 months had passed since his wife Jennifer left, claiming she needed to find her purpose away from family responsibilities. The divorce papers arrived 3 months later, and since then, David felt like he was drowning. Every day was a struggle to keep his head above water. Emma quietly ate her cereal, not complaining about wearing dirty clothes or about the fact that her lunchbox was empty again. Her silence hurt more than any words could. She had stopped asking about her mother weeks ago, retreating into herself as David failed again and again to provide the stability she desperately needed. Traffic in Seattle was brutal that morning. David gripped the steering wheel as they crawled along Interstate 5, watching the minutes tick by. When they finally arrived at Riverside Elementary School, Emma was already 20 minutes late. She slipped out of the car without saying goodbye, her head down as she hurried toward the entrance. David sat in the parking lot, his hands shaking. He was failing his daughter. Every single day, he was failing her. His best friend Marcus pulled up beside him, concern etched across his face. "Man, we need to talk," Marcus said through his open window. Back at David's apartment, Marcus didn't hide his worry as he surveyed the mess. Dishes filled the sink, laundry overflowed from baskets, and the whole place felt heavy with neglect. "David, this can't continue," Marcus said gently. "Emma needs more than you can give right now while working those crazy hours. You need help." David wanted to argue, but he couldn't. The evidence of his failure surrounded them. He was barely sleeping, surviving on coffee and takeout, and his daughter was paying the price. Something had to change, but he didn't know where to start. "What am I supposed to do?" David asked, his voice breaking. "I can't quit my job. We need the income." Marcus sat down, his expression thoughtful. "My sister runs a domestic staffing service. Let her find you someone reliable, a housekeeper who can manage things here, help with Emma, take the pressure off. You're trying to do everything alone, and it's not working." The idea of a stranger in his home made David uncomfortable. He'd already been betrayed by someone he trusted completely. How could he let another person into their lives? But then he thought of Emma's sad eyes that morning, and he knew he had no choice. Pride wouldn't help his daughter. Stubbornness wouldn't give her clean clothes or proper meals or the childhood she deserved. "Okay," David whispered. "Find someone." For the first time in months, a tiny spark of hope flickered in his chest. Maybe things could get better. Maybe they didn't have to keep struggling like this. Maybe help was exactly what they needed. Backhand index pointing right. Don't miss next chapter. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to see how Maya enters their lives and begins to change everything. Like this video if you're already invested in David and Emma's journey. The next afternoon, David left work early for the first time in months. His heart raced with anxiety as he cleaned his apartment, trying to make it presentable for the interview. He knew it was probably pointless. Any professional housekeeper would take one look at the disaster and run for the door. At exactly 2 o'clock, the doorbell rang. David took a deep breath and opened it to find a young woman in her late 20s standing there. She wore a neat blouse and jeans, her dark hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. Her warm brown eyes held a calm confidence that immediately put him at ease. "Hello, Mr. Chen. I'm Maya Rodriguez. Marcus's sister sent me." David recognized her face immediately. 2 weeks ago, when he'd been stuck in terrible traffic and running late to pick up Emma, he'd called the school in a panic. When he finally arrived, Emma had been waiting with this same woman, who had stayed with his daughter to make sure she was safe. Maya had been kind and patient, asking nothing in return. "Please come in," David said, feeling some of his nervousness fade. "And call me David." They sat in his living room, and David asked the standard questions about experience and references. Maya answered everything with quiet competence. She had worked for 3 families in Seattle, each for at least 2 years. Her references praised her reliability, her warmth with children, and her impeccable work ethic. "Why did you leave your last position?" David asked. "The family moved to Boston," Maya explained. "They wanted me to come with them, but my father is sick. I need to stay close to home." David found himself impressed by her dedication to family. As they talked, he discovered that Maya had grown up in a small town in Oregon, dreaming of becoming a teacher. She'd worked as a nanny and housekeeper to support herself through community college, discovering that she loved the work just as much as she'd loved her studies. "This job won't be easy," David found himself saying honestly. "My daughter's mother left us. Emma is hurting. I work long hours. The house is usually a disaster. I'm barely holding things together." Maya listened without judgment, her expression understanding. "Children need stability and routine," she said softly. "They need to feel safe and cared for. I think I can help with that." Something in her voice resonated with David. She wasn't just offering to clean and cook, she was offering to help heal the wounded little family they'd become. Before he could overthink it, David made his decision. "You're hired," he said. Maya looked surprised by his quick choice, but she smiled. "Thank you, David. I promise I'll do everything I can for Emma and for you." They discussed practical details: hours, salary, responsibilities. Maya would work Monday through Saturday, handling all household tasks and helping Emma with homework and after-school activities. She could start the next morning. After Maya left, David felt something he hadn't experienced in months: relief. The weight on his shoulders felt slightly lighter. Maybe Marcus had been right. Maybe accepting help wasn't a sign of weakness but of wisdom. That evening, David told Emma about Maya. He kept it simple, not wanting to overwhelm her. Emma listened quietly, her expression guarded. She'd been disappointed too many times to get excited about anything new. "She seems nice," was all Emma said. That night, David lay awake thinking about the changes coming. He was scared of trusting someone new, scared of being disappointed again. But he was even more scared of continuing down the path they'd been on. Something had to change, and maybe Maya was the answer to prayers he'd been too exhausted to say. Tomorrow would be different. Tomorrow would be the start of something new. He just hoped it would be better. Maya arrived at 7 in the morning, finding David frantically searching for his laptop charger while Emma sat at the table in wrinkled clothes, staring at an empty bowl. The kitchen was a disaster, the sink overflowing with dishes from several days. "Good morning," Maya said warmly, setting down her bag. "David, you focus on getting ready for work. Emma, let's you and I figure out breakfast together." David wanted to argue that he could handle it, but he was already late. Gratefully, he rushed to his bedroom to finish getting ready. From his room, he could hear Maya's gentle voice talking with Emma, the sound of the refrigerator opening, pans being set on the stove. When he emerged 15 minutes later, the transformation was remarkable. Emma sat at a clean table with a plate of scrambled eggs and toast in front of her. Maya had somehow located clean clothes for her, and Emma's hair was neatly brushed. The kitchen already looked more organized, and the smell of fresh coffee filled the air. "I packed Emma's lunch," Maya said, handing him an insulated bag. "And I found your charger. It was under the couch." David stared at her, overwhelmed with gratitude. In less than 30 minutes, Maya had brought order to their chaotic morning. "Thank you," he managed to say. "Thank you so much." "It's what I'm here for," Maya replied with a smile. "Have a good day at work. Don't worry about anything here." For the first time in 6 months, David left for work without a knot of anxiety in his stomach. He didn't worry about Emma being late or hungry or unprepared. He trusted that Maya had everything under control, and that trust felt like a gift. At work, David found himself actually able to concentrate on his projects. His mind wasn't constantly spinning with guilt and worry about what he'd forgotten at home. His colleagues noticed the difference immediately. "You seem more focused today," his manager commented during their afternoon meeting. "Everything okay?" "Better than okay," David replied. "I finally got some help at home." When he returned that evening, the transformation was complete. His apartment didn't just look clean, it felt like a home. The windows were open, letting in fresh air. The surfaces were clear of clutter. The floors shone. Soft music played from the kitchen, where he could hear voices. David walked quietly to the kitchen doorway and stopped, his breath catching. Maya and Emma sat at the table working on homework together. Emma was actually smiling, explaining something about her math assignment while Maya listened with genuine interest. When Emma got stuck on a problem, Maya didn't just give her the answer. She patiently guided Emma to figure it out herself. "I got it," Emma exclaimed, her face bright with pride. "I understand now." "I knew you would," Maya said warmly. "You're very smart, Emma." David's eyes grew damp. He couldn't remember the last time he'd seen his daughter look so happy and confident. The simple scene before him, homework at the kitchen table, the smell of dinner cooking, his child smiling, felt like a miracle. "Daddy." Emma noticed him and ran over for a hug. "Maya helped me with my math, and we're making chicken for dinner, and she knows how to make chocolate chip cookies." David hugged his daughter tightly, emotion overwhelming him. "That sounds wonderful, sweetheart." Maya smiled at them from the table. "Welcome home, David. Dinner will be ready in about 20 minutes. That evening, they sat together and ate a proper home-cooked meal for the first time in months. Emma chatted excitedly about her day, about the games she and Maya had played, about the story Maya had read to her. The sadness that had shadowed Emma for so long seemed to have lifted, replaced by a light David had feared was gone forever. After dinner, after Emma was tucked into bed still smiling, David found Maya in the living room. "I don't know how to thank you," he said quietly. "You've done more in one day than I've been able to do in 6 months." "You were trying to do everything alone," Maya said gently. "Nobody can do that successfully. You needed help, and there's no shame in that." David nodded, feeling the truth of her words. For the first time since Jennifer left, he went to bed feeling hopeful about tomorrow. Over the following weeks, a comfortable routine developed in the Chan household. Maya arrived each morning before David left for work, ensuring Emma had a proper breakfast and got to school on time with everything she needed. The apartment stayed clean and organized. Meals were healthy and delicious. Most importantly, Emma was thriving. David noticed the changes in his daughter immediately. She laughed more. She talked more. She seemed lighter, as if a burden had been lifted from her small shoulders. One afternoon, he came home to find Emma and Maya baking cookies together, flour dusting their faces as they giggled over some shared joke. "We're making snickerdoodles," Emma announced proudly. "Maya is teaching me how to measure ingredients properly." David watched them work together, Maya patiently explaining each step while Emma carefully followed instructions. The easy companionship between them warmed something in his chest that had been cold for too long. But it wasn't just Emma who was healing. David found himself feeling more balanced, more present. With the household running smoothly, he could actually focus on being a father when he was home instead of frantically trying to catch up on chores and errands. He and Emma started having game nights on Fridays. They went to the park on Sundays. They talked about their days over Maya's delicious dinners. One rainy Saturday afternoon, David was working from his home office when he heard Emma crying. He rushed out to find his daughter curled up on the couch, tears streaming down her face. Maya sat beside her, gently rubbing her back. "What happened?" David asked, his heart clenching. Emma looked up at him, her face crumpled with pain. "I miss Mommy," she whispered. Why doesn't she call me anymore? Doesn't she love me? David felt like someone had punched him in the gut. He sat down on Emma's other side, pulling her into his arms. Oh, sweetheart, of course she loves you. Your mom is just confused right now. But that's not your fault. You are so loved, Emma. So very loved. Maya quietly excused herself, giving them privacy. But later, after Emma had cried herself out and fallen asleep on the couch, David found Maya in the kitchen. She was preparing soup, something comforting for Emma when she woke up. Thank you for being there for her, David said quietly. Maya turned to face him, her expression gentle. Emma is processing a lot of pain. She needs to know it's okay to feel sad sometimes, that she's allowed to miss her mother. But she also needs to know she's safe and loved right here, right now. You're amazing with her, David said, and he meant it. I don't know what we would do without you. You would manage, Maya said with a soft smile. But I'm glad I can help make things easier. As the weeks passed, David found himself looking forward to coming home not just to see Emma, but to see Maya too. He enjoyed their conversations over dinner, the way she listened to his work frustrations without judgment, her quiet wisdom about parenting and life. She had a calming presence that made everything feel more manageable. One evening, after Emma was in bed, David and Maya sat together in the living room. The rain pattered against the windows, creating a cozy atmosphere. Can I ask you something? David ventured. Why do you do this work? You're clearly educated and capable of doing anything. Why choose to be a housekeeper? Maya considered the question thoughtfully. Because I believe this work matters. Children need stability and care. Families need support. There's no shame in domestic work. It's the foundation that makes everything else possible. Besides, I love working with children. Every family I've worked with has taught me something valuable about life and love. Her answer revealed a depth David found himself drawn to. Maya wasn't just doing a job, she was living out her values, finding purpose in service to others. It was beautiful and rare. I'm grateful you're here, David said quietly. Not just for the cleaning and cooking, but for everything. For caring about Emma the way you do. For bringing light back into this house. Maya met his eyes, and something passed between them. An understanding, a connection. I'm grateful to be here, she replied softly. That night, as David lay in bed, he realized something that both scared and excited him. His feelings for Maya were growing beyond simple gratitude or professional respect. He was beginning to care for her deeply, personally. It was a dangerous realization, one that could complicate everything. But as he thought about her smile, her kindness, her strength, he couldn't deny the truth blooming in his heart. 3 months into Maya's employment, life had settled into a comfortable rhythm. David's work performance had improved significantly, earning him praise from his manager. Emma was excelling in school, her grades climbing as her confidence grew. The apartment felt like a real home, filled with warmth and laughter. But then everything changed with a single phone call. It was a Friday evening. David had just gotten home, and Maya was preparing to leave for the weekend. Emma was in her room working on an art project. The phone rang, and David answered without checking the caller ID. Hello. There was a pause, then a familiar voice he hadn't heard in months. David. It's Jennifer. His entire body tensed. Maya, noticing his reaction, paused in gathering her things, concern crossing her face. Jennifer, David said, his voice tight. What do you want? Is that any way to greet your wife? Jennifer's tone was light, almost playful. Ex-wife, David corrected sharply. We're divorced. Legally separated, Jennifer clarified. The divorce isn't final yet. Anyway, I'm calling because I'm back in Seattle. I want to see Emma. David's heart raced with panic and anger. You've been gone for 9 months. Not a single call to your daughter. And now you just want to walk back into her life. I made mistakes, David. I'm ready to be a mother again. I'll come by tomorrow at noon. No, David said firmly. You don't get to just show up. Emma is finally happy and stable. I won't let you disrupt that. She's my daughter, Jennifer insisted, her voice hardening. I have rights. I'll see you tomorrow. The line went dead. David stood frozen, his hand shaking as he lowered the phone. Maya was beside him immediately. David. What happened? He looked at her, fear evident in his eyes. Jennifer is back. She wants to see Emma. The words felt like stones in his mouth. After everything they'd built, everything that had healed, Jennifer's return threatened to destroy it all. Maya's face showed concern but also strength. What do you want to do? I want to protect Emma, David said, his voice breaking. She's finally happy again. But Jennifer is her mother. I can't just refuse to let them see each other. That night, David barely slept. He thought about telling Emma, preparing her somehow, but how could he explain that the mother who abandoned her was suddenly back? How could he protect his daughter's heart from being broken all over again? The next morning, Maya arrived early, sensing that David would need support. Emma was still asleep, unaware of the storm about to hit their peaceful world. Thank you for being here, David said quietly as Maya made coffee. Of course, she replied. You don't have to face this alone. At exactly noon, the doorbell rang. David's stomach dropped. Emma was in her room playing, still unaware of what was coming. David opened the door to find Jennifer standing there, looking polished and put together in designer clothes, her hair perfectly styled. David, she said with a bright smile. The place looks great. You must have hired a maid. Her casual dismissal of everything he'd struggled with made David's jaw clench. Her name is Maya, and she's been a godsend to this family. Jennifer's eyes swept past him into the apartment, landing on Maya who stood in the living room. Something cold flickered across Jennifer's face. I see. Well, where's Emma? I'm dying to see my baby girl. Before David could respond, Emma appeared from her room. She froze when she saw her mother, her face cycling through shock, confusion, and uncertainty. Emma. Jennifer opened her arms wide. Come give Mommy a hug. Emma didn't move immediately. She looked at her father, then at Maya, seeking permission or maybe just reassurance. Finally, slowly, she walked forward into her mother's embrace. David watched his daughter's face and saw the conflict there, the desire to love her mother warring with the hurt of being abandoned. Jennifer showered Emma with kisses and compliments, her performance almost theatrical. I've missed you so much, Jennifer gushed. I brought you presents. I want to hear everything about school and your friends. But as Jennifer talked, David noticed her eyes kept drifting to Maya, assessing, calculating. He knew that look. Jennifer was planning something, and whatever it was wouldn't be good for any of them. Emma, still confused and overwhelmed, moved closer to Maya rather than staying in her mother's arms. The gesture was small but significant, a clear indication of where Emma's sense of security lay. Jennifer noticed it too, and her smile tightened. The afternoon ahead promised to be difficult, and David steeled himself for whatever came next. The life they'd carefully rebuilt was about to be tested in ways he'd hoped would never come. Jennifer stayed for 2 hours, during which Emma remained quiet and withdrawn. She answered her mother's questions in short sentences, never quite relaxing. When Jennifer finally left, promising to return soon, Emma immediately went to her room without a word. David found her 20 minutes later, sitting on her bed and staring at the wall. He sat beside her and pulled her close. How are you feeling, sweetheart? Emma was quiet for a long moment. Is Mommy going to stay? I don't know, David answered honestly. Would you want her to? Emma's face scrunched up, tears threatening. I don't know. I'm supposed to love Mommy, right? But I don't really know her anymore. She left us. Why did she leave us, Daddy? David's heart broke. Sometimes adults make mistakes, Emma. Your mom was unhappy, and instead of working on it, she ran away. But that was never your fault. You are wonderful and lovable and perfect just as you are. Is Maya going to leave too? Emma asked, her voice small and scared. No, David said firmly. Maya is not going anywhere. But even as he said it, he worried. Jennifer's presence changed everything. Over the next few days, she called constantly, demanding to see Emma, suggesting family dinners, acting as though the past 9 months hadn't happened. David could feel the pressure building, and he didn't know how to handle it. One evening, after Emma was asleep, David found himself confiding in Maya. They sat in the living room, the apartment quiet around them. I don't know what Jennifer wants, David admitted. Part of me wonders if she really wants to be a mother again, or if she just can't stand that we moved on without her. Maya listened, her expression thoughtful. What do you want, David? I want Emma to be happy and safe, he said immediately. But I also... He paused, struggling with feelings he'd been trying to deny. I want this. What we have here. The 3 of us. This feels like family to me. Their eyes met, and the air between them seemed charged with unspoken emotions. David realized he'd said too much, crossed a line he'd meant to keep clear. But Maya didn't look uncomfortable. Instead, she reached out and took his hand. It feels like family to me too, she said softly. Before David could respond, his phone rang. It was Jennifer, and when he answered, her tone was completely different from before, cold and calculating. We need to talk, David. Privately. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Tomorrow evening, after Emma is asleep. I'm coming over, and we need to discuss our future. There is no our future, David said firmly. There could be, Jennifer replied. I've done a lot of thinking, David. I made a terrible mistake leaving. I want to fix it. I want us to be a family again. David felt like he'd been punched. You're joking. I'm completely serious. Think about it. Emma needs her mother. You're struggling to balance work and parenting. We were good together once. We could be again. Just send your housekeeper away tomorrow night, and we can talk properly. She hung up before he could argue. David sat there stunned, his mind reeling. Maya watched him with concern. What did she say? David told her, watching Maya's face carefully. She looked hurt but tried to hide it. What are you going to do? She asked quietly. I don't know, David admitted. Part of me thinks I should at least hear her out. For Emma's sake, if nothing else. Emma deserves to have her mother in her life if Jennifer is genuinely willing to try. But even as he said the words, David knew they weren't entirely true. He wasn't just thinking about Emma. Some small part of him, the part that remembered happier times, that had once loved Jennifer deeply, wondered if there could be a second chance. It was foolish, he knew. Jennifer had hurt them badly. But the idea of giving Emma her complete family back was tempting. Maya stood up, her expression carefully neutral. You should do what you think is best for Emma, she said. I should probably go. Maya, wait. But she was already gathering her things, moving quickly toward the door. David wanted to stop her, to explain the confused tangle of emotions in his heart, but he didn't know how. Before he could find the words, she was gone, leaving him alone with his impossible choice. That night, David lay awake thinking about the future. Could Jennifer really change? Could they build back what had been broken? Or was he fooling himself, risking the stability and happiness they'd finally found? He thought about Emma, about Maya, about the home they'd created together. He thought about Jennifer's cold eyes when she looked at Maya, the calculated way she'd inserted herself back into their lives. Something didn't feel right about her sudden return, but he couldn't quite put his finger on what bothered him. By morning, he still hadn't decided what to do. But he knew that whatever choice he made would change everything. David spent the next day in turmoil. At work, he couldn't focus. His mind kept cycling through impossible scenarios. Part of him knew Maya was special, that what they had was real and good. But the weight of Emma potentially having her complete family back was hard to ignore. When he arrived home that evening, Emma ran to greet him as usual, but her excitement seemed forced. Maya had prepared dinner, but the usual warmth between them was strained. She avoided his eyes, staying busy with kitchen tasks. After Emma went to bed, David found Maya preparing to leave. "You don't have to go," he said. "Jennifer isn't coming until later." "I think it's better if I do," Maya replied quietly. "You need to have that conversation without me here." "Maya, David started, but didn't know how to finish. How could he explain that he was terrified of making the wrong choice? She finally looked at him, her eyes sad but understanding. "David, Emma is what matters most. If her mother has truly changed, if she can give Emma what she needs, then you should try. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine." But David could see she wouldn't be fine. He realized with sudden clarity that Maya had feelings for him too, and he was about to break her heart in the name of considering a reconciliation with a woman who'd already broken his. After Maya left, David sat in the quiet apartment feeling more alone than he had in months. At 8 o'clock, Jennifer arrived, dressed elegantly and carrying a bottle of wine. "Thank you for agreeing to see me," she said, settling onto the couch. "I know this must be confusing." "That's an understatement," David replied, staying standing. "What do you really want, Jennifer?" She sighed dramatically. "I told you. I want us back. I want to be a family again. I've had time to think about what I gave up, and I realize I made a terrible mistake. You, Emma, our life together, I threw it all away, and I regret it every day." "Where have you been for 9 months?" David asked. "Why no calls? No messages?" "I was ashamed," Jennifer said, her voice catching. "I was in California, trying to figure out who I was. But I realized that who I am is Emma's mother and your wife. That's where I belong." It sounded good, almost convincing. But something in David's gut told him not to trust it. "What about your need to find yourself? Your complaints about being trapped?" "I was wrong," Jennifer insisted. "I see that now. Look, David, I'm not asking you to decide tonight. Just think about it. For Emma's sake. She deserves to have her mother." As Jennifer talked, painting a picture of renewed family happiness, David's phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Dude, you need to see this. Jennifer was in California with some guy. They broke up last week. Just FYI." David's blood ran cold. He looked at Jennifer with new eyes, seeing past the performance to the calculation underneath. She wasn't back because she'd changed or because she missed them. She was back because her other relationship had ended, and they were her backup plan. "Get out," David said quietly. Jennifer looked startled. "What?" "I said get out. I know about California. I know about the guy. You're not back because you love us. You're back because whatever you left for didn't work out, and you want your comfortable life back." Jennifer's mask slipped, revealing cold anger. "So what if there was someone else? We were separated. I'm allowed to move on. But I chose to come back to you. Because you had nowhere else to go," David said, his voice growing stronger. "You didn't choose us. We're just convenient." "Fine," Jennifer snapped, standing up. "But you're making a huge mistake. You think that little housekeeper of yours actually cares about you? She's an employee, David. Once the money runs out, she'll be gone too. Maya has shown Emma and me more genuine care in 3 months than you showed us in years," David said firmly. "And she's not just an employee. She's family. Something you chose to stop being." Jennifer's face twisted with rage. "You're going to regret this, David. I will fight for custody. I will take Emma from you and your hired help, and there's nothing you can do about it." "Try it," David said, opening the front door. "Leave. Now." After Jennifer stormed out, David stood in the quiet apartment, his hands shaking but his mind clear for the first time in days. He'd almost made a catastrophic mistake, almost chosen a false promise over something real and true. He grabbed his phone and called Maya. It rang several times before she answered, her voice cautious. "David. I'm sorry," he said immediately. "I'm so sorry for even considering her offer. For making you think you could be replaced. You couldn't be, Maya. Not in a million years." There was silence, then the sound of quiet crying. "You chose us," Maya whispered. "I chose the truth," David replied. "Jennifer is gone for good this time. And Maya, I love you. I'm in love with you. If that makes you uncomfortable, if it crosses a line, I understand. But I needed you to know." More silence, then Maya's voice came through, warm and full of emotion. "I love you too, David. I have for weeks now." Relief and joy flooded through him. "Can you come back? Please. I don't want to spend another night without you here. I'll be there in 20 minutes. When Maya arrived, David pulled her into his arms the moment she walked through the door. They stood there for a long time, just holding each other, all the fear and uncertainty of the past days melting away. "I'm sorry I made you doubt how important you are to us," David whispered into her hair. "You had to be sure," Maya replied. "I understand." They had a lot to figure out, what their relationship would look like, how to explain it to Emma, what the future held. But for now, they simply held each other, grateful that they'd found their way back to the truth. The next morning, Emma woke up to find both her father and Maya in the kitchen making breakfast together. She noticed immediately that something had changed. They stood closer, moved in sync, and there was a warmth between them that hadn't been there before. "Is everything okay?" Emma asked cautiously. David knelt down to her level. "Everything is more than okay, sweetheart. Your mom was here last night, and we talked. She's not going to be coming around anymore." Emma's face showed relief rather than disappointment. "Good," she said simply. "She made me feel confused." "I know, honey. But I also need to talk to you about something else." David glanced at Maya, who gave him an encouraging nod. "Maya and we care about each other. Not just as your dad and your caregiver, but as, well, we have feelings for each other. How would you feel about that?" Emma looked between them, her expression thoughtful. Then, slowly, a smile spread across her face. "You mean like dating? Like Maya could be your girlfriend?" "Something like that," David admitted. "If that's okay with you." Emma ran to Maya and hugged her tightly. "I think it's perfect. Maya makes you happy, Daddy. And she makes me happy too." Maya knelt down and hugged Emma back, tears glistening in her eyes. "I love being part of this family," she said softly. "You both mean the world to me." The three of them shared a group hug, and David felt a completeness he hadn't experienced in years. This wasn't the family he'd planned for, but it was the family they'd chosen, built on honesty, care, and genuine love. Over the following weeks, they navigated their new dynamic carefully. Maya still maintained her responsibilities, but the boundaries had shifted. She and David went on dates, real dates where Marcus would babysit Emma. They went to movies, walked along the Seattle waterfront, talked for hours at quiet cafes. Emma thrived on the stability. Her teacher called David to comment on how much Emma had improved, not just academically but emotionally. She was more confident, more engaged, happier. One Saturday afternoon, David took Emma to the park while Maya had the apartment to herself for a few hours. As they pushed Emma on the swings, David's daughter surprised him with a question. "Daddy, do you think Maya will stay forever?" David caught the swing gently, looking at his daughter's hopeful face. "I hope so, sweetheart. Would you like that?" "More than anything," Emma said seriously. "She feels like she's supposed to be with us. Like she fits." "She does fit," David agreed, his heart full. "She fits perfectly." That evening, after Emma was in bed, David and Maya sat on the balcony overlooking the city lights. David had been thinking about something for days, and he finally found the courage to say it. "Move in with us," he said. "Not as our housekeeper, but as my partner. As part of this family for real. Maya turned to him, her eyes wide. David, are you sure? That's a big step. I've never been more sure of anything, he replied. I love you, Maya. Emma loves you. This apartment hasn't felt like just my place for months. It's been our home. All three of us. Let's make it official. Maya's eyes filled with happy tears. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll move in. I'll be your partner. I choose this family too. They kissed under the stars, the city sprawling below them, their future stretching bright and hopeful ahead. Life wasn't perfect. They still had challenges, still had adjustments to make. But they faced everything together, a chosen family built on love and commitment. The next morning, when they told Emma that Maya was officially moving in, Emma's joy was boundless. She danced around the living room, already planning how they'd rearrange things to make space for Maya's belongings. Can we have a celebration? Emma asked. Like a party for our new family? David and Maya exchanged smiles. That's a wonderful idea, Maya said. How about next weekend? We'll invite Uncle Marcus and have a proper celebration. As Emma ran off to start planning, chattering about decorations and cake, David pulled Maya close. Thank you, he said quietly. For saving us. For loving us. For choosing us. Thank you for letting me in, Maya replied. For trusting me with your hearts. They stood there in their sunlit living room, their daughter's happy voice echoing from her bedroom, and knew they'd found something rare and precious. A second chance at family, at love, at happiness. The road ahead would have its challenges, but together, they could face anything. The following Saturday, their apartment buzzed with excitement. Emma had helped Maya decorate with streamers and balloons in cheerful colors. The dining table was laden with food Maya and Emma had prepared together. A mix of comfort foods that had become their family favorites. Marcus arrived first, his face breaking into a huge grin when he saw the decorations. So it's official, huh? David, man, I'm so happy for you guys. You were right, David admitted, shaking his friend's hand. Getting help was the best decision I ever made. I just didn't realize how much help I really needed, or what form it would take. Marcus pulled Maya into a warm hug. Welcome to the family officially. Though let's be honest, you've been family for months now. The celebration was small but perfect. They ate, laughed, and played games. Emma was radiant, her happiness infectious. At one point, she insisted they take family photos, positioning David and Maya close together with her in the middle. This is for when I'm older, Emma explained seriously. So I can remember when our real family started. Her words brought tears to Maya's eyes. This little girl who had been so hurt and withdrawn months ago was now secure enough to claim this new family as her own. As the afternoon wore on, David found a quiet moment with Marcus while the two women were in the kitchen. I never thought I'd be here, David confessed. 6 months ago, I was drowning. Now I have this incredible partner and my daughter is thriving. It almost feels too good to be true. It's real, Marcus assured him. You all worked for this. You let go of your pride and accepted help. Maya chose to invest herself in your family. Emma opened her heart to trust again. You earned this happiness. But Marcus's expression grew more serious. Just be prepared. Jennifer might not go quietly. I heard through the grapevine that she's been talking to a lawyer. David's stomach tightened. About custody? Maybe. Just keep documenting everything. Keep records of Emma's improved grades, her therapy notes if you have them, anything that shows Emma is thriving in this environment. The warning cast a slight shadow over the celebration, but David pushed it aside for now. Today was about joy and new beginnings. He'd worry about Jennifer tomorrow. That evening, after Marcus left and Emma was in bed, David and Maya began cleaning up together. The comfortable domesticity of it, washing dishes side by side, putting away leftovers, wiping down counters, felt natural and right. Emma seemed so happy today, Maya observed, drying a plate. She is happy, David agreed. We all are. Maya, I know we said we'd take things slow, but I have to tell you, this feels right. You being here, building a life with us, it feels like this is how it was always supposed to be. Maya set down the dish towel and turned to him. I feel the same way. I never expected to find this when I took this job. I thought I'd be helping a family get back on its feet. I didn't expect to become part of that family. David pulled her close, kissing her softly. I love you, he murmured against her lips. I love you too, she replied. The peace of the moment was interrupted by David's phone buzzing. He glanced at it and felt his good mood evaporate. It was an email from Jennifer's lawyer, formal and cold, informing him that Jennifer was filing for joint custody and requesting a formal custody evaluation. Maya saw the change in his expression. What is it? David showed her the email, watching her face fall. Marcus warned me this might happen. Jennifer doesn't actually want Emma, she just can't stand that we're happy without her. What do we do? Maya asked quietly. We fight, David said firmly. We document everything. We show the court that Emma is thriving, that this home is stable and loving. We show them the truth. Maya nodded, but David could see the fear in her eyes. They both knew that custody battles could get ugly, and Jennifer would likely use Maya's presence as ammunition. The joy of their celebration felt distant now, replaced by the looming threat of legal warfare. But as David held Maya's hand, he felt his resolve strengthen. They'd faced challenges before and overcome them. They'd do it again, together. Emma's well-being was worth fighting for, and the family they'd built was worth protecting. We'll get through this, David said with more confidence than he felt. We have truth and love on our side. That has to count for something. Maya squeezed his hand. We'll face it together. Whatever comes, we're a team now. The night that had started with celebration ended with worry, but also with determination. The fight ahead wouldn't be easy, but they were ready to face it. For Emma, for themselves, for the family they'd chosen. The custody evaluation process was grueling. Over the next 6 weeks, a court-appointed evaluator interviewed David, Jennifer, Emma, and even Maya. She visited their homes, reviewed school records, and talked to Emma's teachers and therapist. David was nervous but honest about everything. Jennifer's abandonment, his initial struggles, hiring Maya, and how their relationship had developed. The evaluator's expression remained neutral throughout, giving no indication of her thoughts. Jennifer, meanwhile, presented herself as a reformed mother who had made mistakes but was ready to be fully present now. She criticized David for allowing a romantic entanglement with hired help to confuse Emma about family structures. She painted Maya as an opportunist who had taken advantage of a vulnerable man. The accusations stung, but David and Maya stayed focused on the truth. Emma's progress spoke for itself. Her grades had improved dramatically, her therapy notes showed significant emotional healing, and her teacher provided a glowing report about her transformation. The hardest part was Emma's interview with the evaluator. David wasn't allowed to be present, and he spent those 2 hours pacing the waiting room, Maya by his side trying to calm him. What if she asks Emma to choose? David worried. What if this whole process traumatizes her? Emma is stronger than you think, Maya reminded him gently. And she knows what her truth is. Trust her. When Emma finally emerged, she ran straight to David and Maya, hugging them both. I told the truth, she said simply. I told her I'm happy now. 3 weeks later, they received the evaluator's report. David's hands shook as he opened it, Maya reading over his shoulder. The report was thorough and, ultimately, devastating for Jennifer's case. The evaluator noted Emma's significant improvement in all areas since Maya's arrival. She documented Jennifer's 9-month absence and lack of consistent contact. Most importantly, she included Emma's own words, I love my daddy and Maya. They make me feel safe. When Mommy left, I was so sad. But now I'm happy again. I want to stay with Daddy and Maya. The evaluator's recommendation was clear. Primary custody should remain with David, with Jennifer granted supervised visitation if she could demonstrate sustained commitment over time. When the judge issued her ruling a month later, it largely followed the evaluator's recommendations. Jennifer would have supervised visits twice a month, but Emma's primary home would remain with David. The judge noted that the child has demonstrated significant thriving in her current environment, and it would not be in her best interests to disrupt that stability. David broke down in the courthouse hallway, relief overwhelming him. Maya held him as he cried, her own tears of joy mixing with his. They had won. Their family was protected. But the real victory came when they got home and told Emma. Her face lit up with the biggest smile David had ever seen. "So I get to stay here? With you and Maya? Forever." "Forever," David confirmed, pulling her into a tight hug. That evening, as they celebrated with Emma's favorite dinner, David realized how far they'd all come. 6 months ago, he'd been a broken man barely keeping his head above water. Emma had been a sad, withdrawn child grieving her mother's absence. And Maya had been a housekeeper looking for her next job. Now they were a family, imperfect, unconventional, but bound together by genuine love and choice. Later that night, after Emma was asleep, David found Maya on the balcony looking at the stars. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, and she leaned back against him with a contented sigh. "I have something for you," David said softly. Maya turned as he pulled out a small velvet box. Her eyes went wide. "Maya Rodriguez," David began, his voice thick with emotion. "You came into our lives when we were at our lowest. You brought light, hope, and love. You healed my daughter's heart and mine. You chose us when you had every reason to walk away. Will you marry me? Will you officially become Emma's mom and my wife?" Maya's hands flew to her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, David. 1,000 times yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger, and they kissed under the stars, their future bright and certain before them. The next morning, they told Emma together. Her reaction was pure, unbridled joy. She jumped up and down, screaming with happiness, before launching herself at Maya. "You're going to be my real mom." Emma cried. "My forever mom." "I already am," Maya said, holding Emma close. "I've been your mom in my heart for months now. This just makes it official." 6 months later, they had a simple wedding in a small garden venue. Emma served as the flower girl, beaming with pride in her special dress. Marcus was David's best man. Maya's father, recovered from his illness, walked her down the aisle with tears in his eyes. As David and Maya exchanged vows, promising to love and cherish each other and Emma, there wasn't a dry eye in the small gathering. This wasn't just a wedding, it was the celebration of a family that had been broken, healed, and rebuilt into something beautiful. Emma stood beside them, holding both their hands, officially part of the ceremony. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, he added with a smile, "And I now pronounce you a family." The three of them hugged, a circle of love and commitment, and David knew that every struggle had been worth it to arrive at this moment. Their story wasn't a fairy tale. It was better. It was real. It was chosen. It was built on honesty, hard work, patience, and genuine love. They'd faced obstacles and overcome them together. They'd been tested and proven their commitment. As they danced at their small reception, Emma between them giggling with delight, David looked at Maya and saw his future, their future. A future filled with school plays and family dinners, homework help and bedtime stories, challenges faced and joys celebrated. They'd started as strangers brought together by necessity. They'd become a family by choice. And now, as husband and wife, as parents to a thriving, happy daughter, they were exactly where they were meant to be. The journey hadn't been easy, but it had led them home, to each other, to love, to a family that would last forever. Backhand index pointing right. Thank you for joining us on David, Maya, and Emma's journey. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe for more heartwarming tales. Give us a thumbs up and share this video with someone who needs a reminder that families come in all forms and that second chances are real. Comment below. What was your favorite moment from this story? We read every comment. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss our next inspiring story. See you in the next video. 2 hearts.